This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
All right, we'll love a bit of technical issues first thing in the morning. I got to walk in here a little earlier than I do. Yes, it does. It does start right now. Good Thursday morning and welcome to Open Line, everyone. I'm Brian Callahan, your interim host, shall we say, and David Williams producing the show. The numbers to call or text in the St. John's metro area, 709-273-5211, elsewhere 1-888-590-VOCM or 8626. And of course, we welcome your emails at openline@vocm.com. Some pretty heavy, wet snow falling out there for most in the metro area this morning. Expected to be short-lived, though, before turning to some lovely freezing drizzle. But we know things are much more dicey outside metro, like Clarenville area, Burin Peninsula, Bayvert. Spotty across the province, real heavy, wintry, mixy, snowy day. Some schools and businesses closed out and down that way. Head over, of course, to vocm.com for the specifics there. Could be a big day for Canada. Already has, really, at the Olympics. We're up to 5 medals. And Rachel Homan Rink already out of the gate, 10-4 over Denmark today. Homan hasn't had a lot of success at the Olympics. Let's hope she can find a way back to the podium this time around. The men, meanwhile, Brad Jacobs and company, defeated Germany yesterday, but it was not easy. They're good, just like every other team. It is the Olympics after all, and it's gotten a lot tougher to qualify, let alone make it to the big show, because the rest of the world has most certainly caught up to us in that sport for sure. So the boys will have to be sharp throughout. No easy games at this level. The women's hockey team back at it today, in about an hour, actually. Just about an hour from now. Going up against Finland, and of course this is the game that was postponed last week after they got hit with the norovirus. They beat Switzerland yesterday 3-1, so it looks like they're well on the mend and ready to go, while our gals looking to right the ship after being shut out by the Americans 5-0 on Tuesday. And of course our men's team hits the ice in about 3 hours from now, their first game against Czechia. Saw where Sweden pulled a Houdini against Italy yesterday, despite some brutal goaltending. But again, it speaks to the skill of all teams at this level. No one with NHL experience on Italy, but I think they have 8 Canadian-born players. But it doesn't matter the NHL side of things. They all play professional club teams in Europe. And it got a little even chippy at the end there, so they're playing for keeps. And I fully expect our boys to show out of the gate today that we are too. And don't get me wrong, I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to host this show for as long as the powers that be want me to. But I'll be honest, I can't wait till 12. Timing couldn't be better as far as the show goes, with puck dropped about 10 minutes after the big show here today. And of course, other events continuing as we speak here on the program. A bunch of other opportunities for medals in speed skating, snowboard cross. We are currently still standing at 5 medals, I believe, and of course a bronze in ice dance last night. That was pretty emotional if you watched that. During the show today, do what I do. Mute the Olympics on the TV screen and turn up the open line. The best of both worlds. And before I get right into it here, a reminder that there are 2 ceremonies today to mark the 44th anniversary of the Ocean Ranger tragedy in 1982. Happened on the 14th, of course, Valentine's Day. Late that night and into the next morning, which I will never forget. I heard Clayton Burry this morning with the Legacy Foundation on your VOCM mornings. And he lost his dad when he was just 16 in high school. And I had a classmate lose his dad, a guy in my class. So, I can't say those words without the tingles going right through me. So I'm thinking about my friend Frank Palmer today and his family. Again, shout out Frank. And his family and what they've had to endure on every anniversary since then. So those 2 events, the annual service at Gonzaga High School this morning and a wreath laying at the memorial next to Confederation Building this afternoon. Okay, so today has been declared a day of mourning officially in BC, unofficially everywhere else. And rightly so. The throne speech to open that province's legislature has been cancelled, and instead they'll read a statement. The Lieutenant Governor there for that province will read a statement instead, which pays tribute to the victims of Tuesday's shooting in Tumbler Ridge. And it was a very deeply moving vigil held last night in the town. Premier Eby was there, Premier David Eby, and a contingent, of course, of politicians, community leaders, and the community itself, broken as they are. The total number of dead has been corrected to 9. It wasn't reduced. It's not like, anyway, it's been corrected. It was originally 9 victims plus the shooter. And there was a correction, and that's really due to just an error that was made during what one can only imagine was just, unbelievable horror and terror. I heard a town councillor and a first responder talking yesterday about how no one in that community has ever been through anything like this. People who are trained for it, but not necessarily have ever done, there's these mock events you have to prepare for something like this, but they can do their best to try, so to prepare for anything like this in their town, and God forbid any of us should ever have to go through it. So a lot more official information coming out yesterday from the RCMP. They're working with victims of the families for, and rightly, the right time and the most delicate way of releasing all the names and photos of the school victims. 3 girls, 2 boys, aged 12 and 13 years old. I mean, and just some of the photos of these beautiful, just full of life kids just a couple of days ago. It's just beyond heartbreaking, as is the loss of a 39-year-old female teacher in the school who was with them. So no official release of their names yet. Police have, however, named and identified the shooter, 18-year-old Jesse Van Roostelaar. And yes, look, I am aware, we are all aware of potential connections to this province, but I have nothing official on that. And out of respect for everyone involved here, particularly the families and the people closest to this horrific tragedy, we have nothing official either from the police or the family. Just acknowledging the social media chatter, I guess, if you will. I guess I have to stop screaming at the radio. But look, as reputable news organizations, we wait for what we know is official, especially in times like this. So this person, still a teenager, mind you, 18 years old, is a former student of that high school, of the secondary school, but dropped out 4 years ago. And yes, police, when asked, confirmed that they were a biological male, but had been transitioning to a female for the past several years, 6 years even. And again, we don't know yet what, if anything, that had to do with the shooting. Police continue to say they do not yet have a motive. However, they also confirmed that this was likely, in all accounts, by all accounts, a mental health tragedy. They had been to that family's house, the police, on several calls for both mental health and firearms issues. Not a good combination, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but I'm dead serious. You talk about red flags. At one point, guns were seized from the house, but they found the guns they found in the house that weren't either properly stored or had issues with them. And the family went and fought that in court and got the guns back. The guns were actually returned to the family, to that house. And there were apparently numerous times RCMP were called to the house for mental health checks on or concerns, whether it was self-harm or other issues involving this suspect. And mind you, not since last spring, almost a year ago, but the RCMP confirmed yesterday there have been numerous times they've had to go there on mental health calls. So the question will be why? Why now? And if they can figure out what was the trigger, why do something like this? How do you do something like this to others, to children, to these children? Your own mother, your own 11-year-old stepbrother. They were the 2 people, of course, shot and killed before the shooter went to the school with a long gun and a handgun. And it should be noted, of course, that the responding officers, within just a couple of minutes, rushed right into it, right into the school upon hearing gunfire, and that's despite apparently being fired on themselves. And it appears that as a result of that, the police bearing down on the suspect, that was when apparently the shooter took their own life. So, again, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but there's a logical path here that says it's a safe bet those officers likely saved more lives. Unlike, it should be noted, those officers in Uvalde, Texas, at that school shooting, who waited outside while the shooter kept killing. Look, all I can say, the impact of these kinds of unbelievably traumatic events have real, long-lasting, life-destroying consequences. I mean, the mental torture in the aftermath of something like this, I mean, it's been said before, and I'll say it again, it can be far more devastating than any kind of physical injury you might sustain. And, you know, when police talked about, triaging, we heard 25 or 27 others sent to hospital and clinics. I heard the police yesterday talking about that. You know, when they talk about triaging those 25 or 27 after the shooting, you immediately think of, okay, these were other people that were wounded or grazed or were really lucky they didn't suffer serious gunshot wounds, but none of those were from gunshots. Those 25 or 26 or 27, they were superficial physical injuries, maybe some cuts from barricading doors and broken glass, but mostly the police, the counselors, they're triaging brains at this point. Brains that just are not wired to process or absorb this kind of a shock to the system. I mean, seeing these things happen right before your eyes, their friends, their classmates, you see you're playing together every day, you see passing the hallways, it's just so casual. And the next thing, they're either getting shot or you're seeing them lifeless in some unrecognizable bloody mess. Sorry. And just, the panic and fear that they must have went through and that their parents must have went through. And all of it happened in like a town of, 2,500 people. And to put that into perspective, that fills, less than half the seats at the Mary Brown Center. So there you go. That's how many people live in that community. And as for the mental health aspect, look, I know a lot of people are out there absolutely 100% surprised, not surprised, I should say, that something like this could happen there or anywhere, for that matter. We hear it all the time. Supports just aren't there. If you've been listening to this show over the past couple of weeks, I've been sitting here now, you'll know that every second or third call is dripping with desperation and frustration with the supports and understanding, or lack thereof. And the system itself, during what can only be described as, there's no exaggeration here or anything like that. It's a global mental health crisis. Call it what it is. Case in point again, yesterday, here in our own backyard, Mitchell Rose, the man accused of almost killing 3 people in an apartment building a few weeks before Christmas, right? Was deemed yesterday fit to stand trial. And this is after about a month-long psychiatric assessment. His family says he has schizophrenia, but was discharged without their knowledge from a court program, and that had kept him, the program itself had kept him medicated so he could stay even. But then the absence of that care and the medication, when he was discharged, and they didn't know it, so he lashes out. He goes off. And family says he was in the throes of psychosis when all of that occurred. And even though he could have applied for bail yesterday, he had that option after you're deemed fit to stand trial. And Mr. Rose has consented, I'm sure, much to, the relief maybe of family members and others who know him and who know what he needs, as opposed to the professionals so far. He has consented to remain in protective custody at that new mental health center. And, last note on this for now, I welcome your calls on it, of course. I will say it was helpful, consoling, and heartening yesterday to see the outpouring of sympathy, the words of comfort, condolences from all around the world. We're always watching these things play out in other countries, and we send our condolences. But boy, everyone from the Blue Jays organization, Olympians over in Italy trying to perform amidst all of this going on back home, the UK PM Starmer, King Charles, Norway, Finland, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, French President Macron, other world leaders, on and on. Oh, wait, except for Trump. And I don't mean to make this, but, it just, not a peep. Saw a message from the U.S. ambassador to Canada, which is welcomed, but otherwise, nothing. Very presidential of you, sir. But I guess par for the course. Hey, bye. All right, Dave, we're taking our first break of the morning. Then your calls. We'll be right back. All right, let's get things started on line 8. And Fred Hutton, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, MHA. Fred Hutton, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm actually in Labrador, Lab West right now, just cluing up the MINEX conference, which has been taking place here for the last couple of days. Before I want to talk a little bit about that. Before I do, though, of course, like everyone across Canada now, I mean, we're just in a state of shock over what happened in Tumbler Ridge, and we, on social media have extended our condolences to everybody. It's really hard to wrap your head around something like this happening in the community. You as a parent, me as a parent, anyone with a family member knows that this is just so shocking. And, of course, our condolences are going out to all the folks who are impacted and perhaps listening on your radio station today from out west. I know people do. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit about MINEX. This is a huge conference. Mining is huge to Newfoundland and Labrador. I think perhaps bigger than most people realize. It's valued at almost 10% of our GDP, and like 6.1 or $2 billion worth of exports last year alone. And of course, Labrador City and Wabush have a couple of mining companies up here. IOC and Takora and others, and they're looking to expand. But the one takeaway from this, and there was about 330 people I think registered for the MINEX conference, businesses and individuals, and there's basically like a trade show and a networking event and a chance to hear, from the officials from these companies. But to a person, everybody is talking about the need for more electricity and the fact that Wabush and Labrador City cannot expand without more electricity, which of course shines a spotlight on the MOU on Churchill Falls and Gull Island. I listened to Premier Wakeham's speech the other day to the folks there, and afterwards, he had said that we've got the resources, we've got the people, but what he didn't mention is that we don't have the electricity. And without the ability to have more electricity here, believe it or not, with Churchill Falls and Muskrat Falls just down the road, they cannot expand. They can't build warehouses. They can build a warehouse, but they can't do anything in it because they need like a 600 amp service to have a new warehouse. Champion wants to get the Kami mine going. They can't because there's no electricity. Takora wants to expand and develop their manganese. They can't. IOC wants to expand. They can't. All because there's no electricity. And they don't want to use diesel, obviously, to do this. They're looking to, move down the road of green steel. So it's becoming increasingly difficult, not just from a business perspective, but I met with the mayor of Labrador City. He wants to build 120 seniors' homes here. There's no electricity to do it. Wabush wants to expand. There's a fear that some of the companies that are set up here in Lab West are actually going to move over across the border, and because there is available electricity. So we don't want to see that happen. So again, everybody here was waiting to hear some more information related to the MOU and the possibility of getting more electricity, because without it, they're stalled. They can't expand. It's just impossible. There's no bandwidth for it. Yeah,
precisely. The first words out of my mouth, Fred, on Tuesday morning was, this is all great, but you got to believe that the whole chatter, I'll call it an elephant, whatever you want to call it, it's definitely an elephant, probably bigger than an elephant, would have been this discussion. And I don't know. You're up there on the ground. Is it all just still as it looks up in the air without with the uncertainty surrounding the MOU? Nobody knows which way it's going to go. It's fine to have this MINEX, but I heard a couple of mayors myself saying, we're all in the queue, waiting to see. We talk about all the potential up here, whether it's critical minerals, whether it's any of the developments, and I don't need to tell you. All you need to do is look at the agenda for this MINEX conference. And it's unfortunate sometimes, when it's away from the capital city, we can't all be there, but it's important for calls like this. Is there anything beyond that? I know the Premier spoke up there. Is there any hope, any other path to that electricity other than the MOU that anyone's talking about?
No, there isn't. Not at this point. We're this close to it. And I voiced my opinion on your program and with your colleague Tim Powers about this. Mm-hmm. How my thought on this is that the current government does not want to do a deal with Quebec. They're going to run out the clock. Quebec will walk away. And the next thing you know, they'll be doing something else. They'll be doing small nuclear reactors, or they'll figure out something. If you don't think Quebec has a plan B on this, because they need the electricity, we've got the electricity. Now, there's obviously a divide on people who think that they just don't want to do a deal with Quebec, and those who want this to proceed. Foregoing $17 billion over the next 17 years. The clock, which started ticking, by the way, last year as of January 1st in 2025, and the money is in the bank once we sign the deal. But I don't know if there's enough time left to do this. But the concern among everyone I've spoken to up here is that if we don't get a deal and we're looking at another 2 to 3 year wait, I mean, the government has said they want to do a deal on Gull Island, to develop Gull Island. Well, that's going to take several years. We're this close with this deal. I hope they get the deal with Quebec now. And I hope if they can get a better deal than we did, perfect. Let's do it, because places like Labrador City and Wabush need it. But the money that will come into the province pays for everything that we do. In all over Newfoundland
Absolutely.
and Labrador. And this part of the province has contributed so much, billions and billions and billions of dollars to the provincial coffers, roads and schools that are built on the Avalon Peninsula from money that came from Labrador West. And they want the recognition for that. But they also want to make sure that they're able to expand. And essentially, if you can't grow, you start to shrink. Believe it or not, because this is what happens with these large companies, that they want to expand, they want to grow. I mean, I just gave the example. IOC wants to expand. Takora wants to expand and develop their manganese. Champion can't get the Kami mine going without electricity. There simply isn't any more electricity here available to them.
And all that talk, the green steel and the production that has to go on to revert to that, to divert to that. Look, you don't even have to, this goes beyond partisan at this point. There's clearly a deadline at the end of April that the Premier keeps referring to. No word on what the question would be for a potential referendum. It's just so little information on the biggest file on the Premier's desk that you can't help. The speculation and the concern and the worry is just going to get louder. And people asking, why are we waiting? And you pointed out, if it's, strike now while the iron is hot. We've been told that the potential incoming government, and polls being what they are, they're pretty lopsided at this point. We're told that the, government in waiting in Quebec feels it's unfair to them as it is, which doesn't bode well for making it better for us,
Right. The quote from the leader of that party is that the deal is, quote, unquote, humiliating.
Yeah.
So and if they want to change the current MOU, and again, a reminder for your listeners, like the MOU that we signed wasn't a final deal. That was just to proceed to talk. And the current government, when in opposition at that point, they didn't even want to do that.
And Fred, no more solid and in stone than the MOU on the South Coast, might I add.
Right. It was an agreement to proceed to talks. So my thought on this, and I've said this, I don't want to be a guy in 50 years' time that people are talking about who was part of this. And if the MOU came back in a definitive agreement that was something that I didn't agree with, I wouldn't have voted for it. But at least I wanted to see it. And they didn't even want to see it. And now they don't want to proceed with this. I mean, look, if they can get a better deal, like I said, go for it. I mean, this is for the betterment of all of Newfoundland and Labrador. And, I'll be long gone when this is still, in place. And I just think that without it, and more immediately, though, Brian, for folks here in Labrador West where they're keenly wanting to expand and grow, they can't because there's no electricity. And the irony of that, of just having so much electricity just down the road, but none available to us. And you've got these three companies that I mentioned, plus the provincial and federal governments ready to build a transmission line from there over to Lab West to bring more capacity. The MOU allows us to bring back another 1,500 almost megawatts to quadruple what we currently get for Labrador. And for the mining industry here, and for development of houses and recreation complexes and whatever else they want to build here for the thousands of people who live here.
It's getting to the point where you might wonder in your head, how bad can it possibly be that we wouldn't accept it now, take it now, massage it, whatever you got to do through the process, the MOU process, maybe get a little bit better, a little bit better, rather than missing the boat altogether and putting the uncertainty and the climbing deficit and debt just continues to balloon. And with all the things they want to do, the three pillars, we know the three pillars, the healthcare, the taxes, and the safer communities, that's all great. I still can't get my head around how they're doing it without that, first of all, the initial windfall that would come from the MOU, the $500 million or so, and then going forward. So, it boggles the mind. Maybe there's a plan we don't know about, keeping the cards close to their chest. I know they're doing that. Final thought, Fred, before I let you go.
Well, look, I can't talk to you today, Brian, without bringing up this situation in the Premier's office where they've hired a doctor as a political advisor to Premier VOCM and paying him $275,000 a year. I mean, his salary shows up in the political staff. I mean, this was a government that ran on a policy of better health care. So now they're taking an emergency room doctor, a family doctor out of, or a doctor out of the healthcare system, bringing him in to the Premier's office for 28 hours a week and paying him $275,000. And money is coming from MCP. This is outrageous. I mean, I just can't believe that they've made this decision. I mean, I worked in the Premier's office before as a political staff. As a staffer, you don't have to go through any independent appointments commission. He has just done this appointment himself, but they figured out some way to get the money to come from MCP, and he's going to be advising the Premier politically. It boggles the mind how they think that this is a good decision, and to take somebody away from healthcare to advise on political matters, someone with ties to the party, and is now a senior advisor or a political advisor to Premier Wakeham. Unbelievable, shameful.
I hear you, and it on the surface, absolutely. There's a lot of wait and see with this government, I'll tell you that. But let's not forget, every government does that, Fred. Every government does it. I just want to say it because we all know it. Every government does it, and then every opposition says what you just said.
I don't know a government that paid someone from MCP money that was supposed to be for health care at the Premier's office, and $275,000 for 28 hours a week. Yeah. I don't know of a government that's done that. If there is, I'm not aware of it. But
speaking generally about patronage and appointing people for different reasons, for allegedly nefarious reasons or for other reasons that we just don't agree. I'm kind of just generally talking about appointments that are made as a new government comes in. But I know what you're saying. The individual circumstances are definitely worth a look.
Everybody who works in that Premier's office is a political staffer. They are hired and fired by the Premier or the Chief of Staff. Their money comes from the budget of the Premier's office. This money is coming from MCP, money that was supposed to pay for health care for you, for me, for the rest of people of Newfoundland and Labrador. That's where that money is coming from. $275,000 for 28 hours a week to advise the Premier. Someone who has political connections. The money could come from the Premier's budget, the Premier's office budget. That wouldn't be an issue. This money is coming from MCP.
Look forward to that question right out of the gate in the House of Assembly.
You better believe it. Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Thanks, Fred. Take care. Safe home. All right, Fred Hutton there, the MHA for Conception Bay, East Bell Island. Right on the break, Dave. Let's take that one and come back with your calls right after the break. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's keep her going. Where are we to? Edgar, you're on the air.
How's it going there, Brian?
Well, it's going. How about you?
Oh, it's going. I hope Fred is still listening, because I got a little comment on what he was talking about there just briefly.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. If Tony couldn't get no money to do what he was doing, he had to take it from health care. He had never had no other choice. They had a $1 million office in Boston. What was all that about?
Well, all about nothing, apparently, if you're the Conservative government. Waste of money, not the right time, on and on and on it goes. If they're going to do what they want to do without an MOU, then they're going to be looking everywhere, under every little rock they can find.
I'm sure that Tony Wakeham can see a problem there with the MOU, and I'm sure he's going to iron it out the best way he can. Now, it might sound like I'm favoring PC or whatever, but I can tell you one thing. Fred Hutton called me one time when he was with NTV, and the van was broke down up here by Monty's Esso there in Whitburn. He said, get that van to Grand Falls for me. I don't care how much it costs. So I got a tow truck business here. I did. My daughter got it now. And I phoned and I said, buddy, you're looking at $4,500 for me to go Grand Falls, stay all night, and tow that van back here. That was a diesel van. You know what was wrong with the van? It was out of fuel.
Maybe the gauge was broken.
No, the gauge wasn't broken. It was down on empty. It was out of fuel. I filled it up with fuel. I hooked it up, towed it over to the fuel tanks, which was about 500 feet, and I filled it up with fuel. I give it a little Mr. starting fluid and got it going. I phoned Fred back. I said, Fred, you owes me $600. He said, you're not in Grand Falls already. I said, no, I got the van going. I said, it's empty on fuel. Oh, God love you. But he was going to pay me $4,500 to bring that van to Grand Falls because it was the satellite system van that took all the news, right?
Yeah, anyway. And when you're in this biz, you'll move hell and high water to get get wherever you got to be, especially with satellite truck. That's the be-all and end-all, to be able to bring everybody around the province together. Listen, Edgar, I got a bunch of calls, but you called about the roads?
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Give her.
Okay, we'll get right to that. People call me. I'm on the local service committee here in Blaketown, one of the cleanest towns on the Avalon. We got $1 million cabins going up down the end of the pond there. Matter of fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine there a few minutes ago. He got one down there. It's a beautiful place. A lot of big businesses in St. John's are building cabins down there, and they got to drive over this, right? We never ever had holes in the road here lately, but I called a member of Blaketown or St. Mary's Placentia. Well, I won't say her name because everybody knows who she is. You know what she told me?
Wow.
Up by the garage, there's tires and rims piled up there. People hitting holes in the road, and they're coming off one side, like front and back on one side. So they're bang, bang, hitting the hole in the front, hitting the hole in the back. Tires fall, rims fall. You know what she told me? Edgar, we do not fix holes in the winter time. There's only 6 months out of the year we fix his holes. I said, oh.
There's such a thing as cold patch, of course.
Well, yeah. Well, I said, well, it should be only 6 months out of the year and we pay taxes.
I love your reasoning. I love that reasoning, Edgar. I'll take that.
Yeah. But anyway, I hope
Makes
some
sense.
of the PCs and all the Liberals are listening. That's all. That's all I wanted, Brian, boy.
And Edgar, listen, when you said, you hope you don't sound like a conservative listen, boy, you got issues. You should be able to voice them. Yeah. And nobody should be able to tar you with a brush just because you feel this way or that way. That's how we get into trouble. You can only feel this way because that's the way the party feels. Give me a break.
Everybody knows that's how poor old Paddy Daly got in trouble. I mean, he just expressed his opinions a little bit too deep, right?
Edgar, listen, all I can tell you is that is false. So, anything else to say before we let you go?
No, that's about it, buddy.
All right, man.
What happened in Tumler Ridge, they brought the guns back to the person. I mean, that should never have been done.
It sounds like
they're sending me letters all the time because I got guns there, but I got no assault rifles. All I got is hunting guns, and they're asking me if I want to give them up. I mean, I'm only 66 years old. I'm not giving them up hunting yet.
No, and look,
when I do give.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
When I do give them up, I'm going to give them to me grandsons and my son or whoever wants them, right?
Yeah, responsible gun owners are fine with me. That's all I say. But I will say, you're absolutely right that the guns were taken and returned. And again, it is too early in any situation to judge as to whether or not why they did that, what the specific reason. I said it off the top. We can state the facts of that, and that's been stated. Why they were returned, why they were taken in the first place. They're still investigating. The information will come out. It may be really hard to take, or it may make perfect sense. We just don't know, but we have to wait. Edgar, I got to get off to a call. I appreciate the call. And by the way, there are piles of rims and tires like that at the end of every road, like the Blaketown Road in this province, almost. I can tell you that now.
Oh, definitely.
This time of year.
I believe you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
But listen. No, there's none in Placentia.
I'm going to get a call. You watch Dave. Let me know when the calls start lighting up from Placentia.
Yeah, they're not in Placentia because I was up around there looking, and the roads up there is all perfect, buddy.
Okay. Well, I'll hold you to that.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
And anyone down that way who wants to confirm that, I welcome their call. Thanks, Edgar.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Dave, what do you want to do? You want to take the break or quick break? Yeah, okay, let's take that break. We're close enough to it there. And coming back with Dr. Parsons on the war brides, and Donna wants to respond to Fred Hutton, and on it goes. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Let's go right to line number 4. And Dr. Ian Parsons, former family physician of the year in Canada. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
We're doing the Trail of the Caribou Research Group and the History Committee at St. Andrew's Church downtown are doing a presentation next Tuesday, February 17th, on the World War I in Newfoundland, the air connection. So this is a talk about some research we're doing regarding First World War war brides. And there's lots of research that's been done about World War II war brides, and there's a lot of Newfoundlanders who brought home their brides from England. But the First World War is less known, and there was really no documentation of that. So Michael Pretty, with our group, has made an interesting connection. There's a group in Ayr of the Newfoundlanders who stayed in Ayr and have raised families over there. And in fact, we had one of the granddaughters of one of those soldiers come over this summer and meet cousins, second cousins, and cousins that she'd never met before. So we're trying to raise some interest and also get the stories out about any of the war brides who came to Newfoundland. And there's probably in the First World War over 200, most of them Scottish, about 150 of them, and most of them from areas around where the Newfoundlanders trained, so around Ayr and also the Foresters around Dunkeld. And really, it's the families and their descendants that really know the contributions that these women made to St. John's, but particularly to rural areas, because these were highly educated women who came over mostly for adventure, young women in their early 20s. And the stories that you find, some of them are tragic. They come over and they passed away in childbirth, very tragic, but then others of them who gave a great contribution to Newfoundland. And some of these women, they married their soldiers. The soldiers got wounded, and they cared for them the rest of their lives. So there's great stories, and we're trying to get families to come out to this event on Tuesday. There's a talk with it and a little reception after, but at the church. But we're trying to get families who've got any connection to the World War I war brides to come out. And we'll be launching a website called Share Her Story, which hopefully we're trying to create a database of both the war brides, but also in the First World War and later Second World War, but also then women who served in the First World War. And there's over 120 nurses, VADs, ambulance drivers, women from Newfoundland who did serve in the First World War. And again, their stories are little heard of because it's most of the stories we hear about are the regiment or the Naval Reserve.
And it's time, Dr. Pratt, first of all, congratulations. I mean, this work, if you weren't doing it, it probably wouldn't be done. And with the through the war brides, and let's face it, time is passing. We're getting farther and farther removed from the World War I, World War II, whether it's losing our veterans or just our memories of all of this. So it's so important. Those connections, whether, as you said, they came over, adopted a new country, contributed to Newfoundland and Labrador, went on, so, as you said, married, whether it was married to a soldier of the regiment or the Naval Reserve, the Merchant Marines, Forestry Corps, it just goes on. And the stories, every single story is just fascinating. You can hear, if you've heard one, you haven't heard any.
Exactly, and there's just so many out there. There's a lot of these women, and one of the reasons we're doing it at St. Andrews is a lot of these women were Scottish, Presbyterian, and when they came over, they linked into that Scottish heritage in St. John. So, and there's a number of stories about women who were involved in the church that we're going to tell, but also women who were involved throughout Newfoundland, and also those who moved to Canada and moved to the States. And although there's work been done before with this. Ursula Kelly did some with the Forester Scribe with the Forester Regiment, Foresters. Janet Alcock and Corner Brook did a lot of work with the World War II and a nice website called the NL War Brides. But we're hoping to stimulate, that was 20 years ago, so we're hoping to stimulate that interest again and get families to dig out their old pictures, dig out their memories of their grandparents or great-grandparents, and if they can't share it directly at our event and our talk, we'll talk more about these women. Perhaps then they can go online on shareherstory.ca and put the stories in there, because we'd like to, first of all, document them, but then save them so that in 10 or 20 years' time, when the next generation is looking to try and remember, well, what did great-grandmother do and how did she get here? We'll actually have that documented both for families but for the community in general.
Yeah, I'm just looking at where I actually use it as a resource sometimes. Us journalists in the province use the nlwarbrides.ca site, and you mentioned it's about 20 years old. It looks about 20 years old. No offense, it's a great resource, but it's got that older website, older web page with the fine green tartan in the background. But it is an incredible resource, whether it's the photo albums, the references, the videos. I mean, there is a ton of stuff there. Dr. Parsons, one more time. So it's next Tuesday, February the 17th, St. Andrew's Presbyterian, right, the Kirk on Queens Road, right?
Yeah, and that's it. And then the new website that we've set up is shareherstory.ca,
right.
And we'll be launching that. So because the other site has mainly World War II, and we're now up to at least 200 women we found who are war brides, and we're hoping to increase that up from what we had originally when we started this research was 18. So a lot of work there, and trying to get those stories out.
It is, and it can be a tangle trying to compile all that and get all the history and get it all accurate and contact relatives. Wow, yeoman's work. Thanks, Dr. Parsons. Anything else before we let you go?
No, that's great. We just invite the general public to come out, and particularly those who have any link to war brides at all, but particularly war brides from overseas.
Awesome. Okay, that's next Tuesday night, February 17th at the Kirk, of course, on Queens Road, and everyone is welcome. Thanks again, Dr. Parsons. Any other information, if you're just happy to join the conversation later or anything, give us a shout here at VOCM. Dave's got contact information, nlwarbrides.com or .ca, and of course, the actual War Brides site is up and running. Thanks again, Dr. Parsons. Good luck with it next week. Look forward to a call afterwards, by the way. Let us know, the attendance and how it all went. Thanks very much. Okay, Dave, where are we going? Sorry, line. Yeah, I can't. Sorry. Can't see through the glass for some reason. It's that dark out, right? Well, I should mention right now. Like, I can barely see out the window, so she's still pretty blustery out there. Rhonda on line 1. You're on the air. Rhonda, you're on the air. I got a feeling someone's listening to me with 7-second delay.
Good morning. How are you?
Hi. You might want to turn the radio down. It's going to be a distraction. Hi, Rhonda?
Oh, shoot.
That's okay. Just give her a turn there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. Happens. You're not the first. Won't be the last. Go for it.
I was listening to the radio as my phone was searching, and there you go. Okay, good morning. How are you? You're doing a fantabulous job. Blessings to Patty. Okay, got that out of the way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I heard that gentleman call last week about issues with mental health, getting physician access meds. My story is quite similar. I'll just give a small blurb. So I've had a very complicated history. In 2007, diagnosed with a precancerous condition, had to have surgery. Then I ended up being an ostomy, or insulin-dependent diabetic. So I got a lot of physicians on my side. However, since 2022, my health started to decline. And the more access I needed to my family physician, it seemed like it wasn't there. COVID threw a loop into things as well, obviously. It was just after that whole whatever. And I could not see my family doctor. Plus, I had neck pain, so he got me to videotape me walking so he could say, okay, soft tissue, go here. There's been many stories. This gets emotional because my life has revolved around suffering through what I had no idea what I'm suffering through.
I understand.
I haven't been able to get through. I haven't been able to see my family doctor. I was on anti-anxiety meds. However, he provided me with samples with no prescription. So when samples run out and I couldn't contact my doctor, I had no those.
Rhonda, if you don't mind me, I don't want to interrupt much, but I just want to clarify why you haven't been able to contact your doctor.
I don't know. I text him, I call him, I email him. And the only explanation they've ever given me is there's something wrong with my email or my text or something. So I call and I email, and then my partner, who was my partner, he has a great rapport with my doctor. So he would be the one that would be the access. And I also have no idea why. I was so sick I didn't care about why. I just needed access. So
Sure.
he didn't pretty much. So the most, and after you don't hear from your doctor a while, you almost start thinking that, well, my symptoms, because I explain in my email what's on the go. And when you don't hear, then you start thinking, well, maybe I'm not as sick as I think I am. And then, this starts, when you do have any kind of mental insecurity or anything that's compromised, that's the first thing that gets jeopardized. And you start losing yourself. I know what lived through it. I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, people can it's so easy to let it, for it to be let go and go on and do whatever it is doing to you. Was there ever a virtual, look, we all know the issues with trying to get a hold of a family doctor, having one, keeping one for any length of time. Over COVID, I managed to set up 2 virtual meetings with my doctor just in the midst of it all. But it's not easy for everybody. I'm just wondering, like, if you can't get a physical person, and it sounds key to what you're going through, having that contact with your doctor. It just seems that, when you're not having luck with that, are you able to physically visit the doctor to go in and find and sort out what the problem is?
I've gone into his office numerous times to pick up, for example, I'm on long-term disability, so everything, and I have no drug card. So I'm up to between the worst case scenario, $13,000 a year spending, or the worst case, $6,000, because it's insulin sensors, ostomy supplies, plus everything else. I've gone into his office to pick up my forms for long-term disability, which was another thing because he had those for 2 years, neglected to fill them out. So, long-term with no... Anyway.
Rhonda, if you don't mind me just for 1 minute, I'm right at the top of the hour for news.
Go ahead.
I don't want to give you a short shrift. Do you want to hold on a couple of minutes and we'll just finish our conversation right after the news? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, God, the patience and our understanding of our callers. Let's take the news and be right back, and we'll continue our conversation with Rhonda right after the break. All right, welcome back to the program. Let's rejoin Rhonda. Sorry, Rhonda, about that interruption, but go ahead and finish your points.
No worries. So where did I finish off? I was going to talk about the form.
Yes.
I believe. So that's the last 3 things about... And
just to remind people, you're calling because of issues with, getting medication, especially in light of not being able to contact your family doctor. Just in a general sense, yeah.
So the 3 incidents which tie in the virtual and the access and trying to whatever. The first was the form. He neglected to fill it for my long-term disability, so I went a month without any payment. Another, these are the last 3 incidents with my doctor. In 2022-23, I went in. I had a few issues. I needed help for a lot of things, including mental issues. I had something on my head I needed checked out. I had another lump somewhere. And he told me he suspected I had something called Sjogren's disease or something, and I never heard back from him. So here I'm left with, oh my God, what is this? Do I have that? The most recent and the most devastating incident, I am a diabetic. I haven't been able to access the doctor, so I had to go to 811 or my pharmacy for insulin, for everything, every issue, and they're fantastic. But a physical exam was not available. I tried walking clinics, and they only heard from me on the phone. So recently, just before I signed up, or when I was signing up to be the candidate for CBS for the MVP party, God love them, just before that, I ran out of insulin. I called my doctor, texted my doctor, emailed my doctor, no response. So the partner done the same. He got an email back saying he's hesitant to refill my insulin because he's seen that I didn't have it filled since 2024. I'm insulin dependent. In 2025, if I didn't have insulin since 24, I would not be breathing.
And I know people in that boat, including coworkers. So yeah, I can appreciate that.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So here I am, and when my blood sugar was morbidly high then. I was on death's door then, but I'm in a fight or flight mode, and I'm blue air fly, so I'm going until something takes me down. So I checked to see if my insulin was filled. It wasn't filled. I checked the next day. it wasn't filled. I called his office. He was on vacation. I don't know in those next 3 to 4 days where my mental status was. The next thing that all I remember is the day I ended up in the hospital, I spent 12 hours in the worst agony in my life. I've had multiple surgeries. I've had the worst of the worst. This was no comparison. I'm less than 100 pounds, probably closer to 90. My regular weight is like 130. The partner come in, carried me at the hospital. They were about to give me the DNR, and I said, no, too much work to do. So I had diabetic ketoacidosis, pancreatitis, suspected blood infection.
So, Rhonda, what? Just only because I have so many callers waiting, I just want to make sure our listeners understand. How are you now, and what do you need right now?
I need a doctor, and the only reason I'm here
this call will be recorded.
Because my dentist and me. So I don't know what I need because I can't talk to anybody.
Where are you located, Rhonda? Where do you live?
Conception Bay, Calgary. I'm sorry. I try not to cry.
Rhonda, it's okay. First of all, just hang on the line here now and let's have a chat. Do you have, just I'll give you a second. Just take as much time as you need. Do you have family or relatives or anyone in the immediate area or any neighbors, friends, anyone who can just spend a bit of time with you right now?
I have my son downstairs.
You pardon? Sorry.
I have my youngest son is downstairs.
Oh my! How old is your son?
He's 23. He's been through. He's sorry. Yeah, it's rough. And then you go somewhere and I go to any specialist and I try to anyone I see, I'm trying to tell them like what's on the go, and it's the only person that's ever done any. I've been on antibiotics 13 times in 2 years. Like, this ain't good.
Is your doctor, this family doctor, it is still your doctor, correct?
Yes.
So there's no suggestion there that that's been severed. You still have access. They don't not return.
I haven't done anything to say anything negative because I'm so afraid of losing the little contact with health care because I have the forms to be filled out and stuff, and it's draining. It's exhausting.
Is your son able to help you in any way at this point? I mean, what's his situation? If you don't, I mean, look, first, the most important thing you need is somebody else with you. He
is my rock. He is there whenever I need to go anywhere, but he's my son, and I do not want the burden that he's got enough on his plate.
I can appreciate that. He is an adult, and, I mean, you need that more than anything because all we have right now is me on the phone with you, and I want to make sure you're okay and somebody is there with you. At least, because I know the ups and downs can be extreme. I know it.
God love you. You have no idea how therapeutic chatting with you this morning is. And I know I sound like I'm a real top here, but the tears got to fall sometimes.
No, there's no way you're supposed to sound. There's no wrong way. There's no right way. You're going through what you're going through. And you're reacting the way you react, and no one can judge you for that. And God forbid, people should judge you for that. Unless they want to go through it too, and to judge people like that, it's.
Yes, that's the hardest is the judgment or the thinking that people are judging you, and when you're isolated and when you're not heard. When you're not heard, you get small, and your voice gets small until you don't be around anymore. I can't let that happen, and that will never happen.
No, and you know what? I'm hearing from you, as hard as it's been and hard as it's been for you in this phone call, I am hearing from you when you talk about the blue arse fly, you're not going to let it do. You strike me as someone who's not going to let this get you down. And that's something that you've got to grasp and hold on to because it's something that a lot of people don't have, that intestinal fortitude, that just an automatic, that something kicks in and says, no, okay, it's getting to a point now where I'm going to fix this. And not everybody has that strength, but I'm feeling it from the phone and through the line that you do have that. And you have your son. And, you talk about he's your rock, but you don't want to burden him. It's not a burden for your son. You ask him to amend. He's there for you. And you should be there for him, too. I mean, the two of you have to help each other through this. Clear your mind a little bit. Make sure you have somebody. If the doctor's office won't get back to you, find somebody, get an MHA. Of course, you're in CBS. Barry Pettin is, he's a blue arse fly himself. He will get, there's no question. That man is full of action. So if worse comes to worse and you can't get any kind of response from your own family doctor, and it is still your family doctor, then that's a problem. Maybe somebody else can help facilitate that and give a nudge somewhere and say, look, this has gotten to the point now. At least return the call and at least deal with the initial ask that she has right now.
Exactly. And I tell you, you're absolutely right, because this has beaten me down so much. Now it's my focus. I got to overcome this struggle, and I'm not letting. I got to rise above this, and I think to myself, I beat the struggle. I overcome this. But how many out there don't have a voice, or just can't, or won't, or are being prevented by speaking out? I'm only one, and I heard numerous people last week. How many more out there in this system?
There are too many more out there, Rhonda. But let's focus on your own situation. We can't. You can't even take a global view of it. If you start thinking about all the other problems that people, stay focused on your own situation. The most important thing for you is somehow make that important contact with your doctor. And I only because I'm saying that and there's other things you could do. And again, your son should be there right next to you through the whole thing. Just. You're calling me on open line, and I can only do so much on a phone line. Your son is right physically there, and that gives me a little bit of relief that at least the two of you can get through this today. Yeah. Rhonda, only because it's the break, I've got to go. Don't hesitate to call me back or call this show back and let us know how you are getting through this.
I'll call you back, and I'll update you. And I so appreciate you. And David is an amazing anchor. God love him. He's the one that directed me. So you guys, God bless you. And everybody out there, just peace to everybody. And just share, talk, be nice to each other.
Kindness and niceness. That's a perfect way. Right there, Rhonda. And let's hope that's what you get when you try to make contact with your doctor and whoever else that you need to talk to. And do that right away. Thank you. And again, take really good care and stay in touch.
I will. Blessings to you. God love you.
Thank you. Take care, Rhonda. Okay, bye. All right, Dave, sorry about that. You were in my ear. What were you telling me? Sorry. You got it. Okay, sorry. I was 100% listening to Rhonda there. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're coming back with Bonnie, who's talking about a celebration of life, and Donna is going to respond to Fred Hutton earlier in the show, right after the break. And welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 2, and Bonnie, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Bonnie Lundrigan. I'm sitting with artist Carol Ann Coffey, who is having a living celebration of her life. She has been an artist for 22 years, has raised 4 children in the community, including 2 physicians. She has a body of work, over 100 pieces, and the art show is going to be here at Tiffany Village. She had a double lung transplant in 2023, and last year she found out she is rejecting the lungs, but she's been painting every day, and she paints amazing paintings and artwork and florals, and she's here with me, sitting next to me here as we sit in Tiffany, looking at the snow, listening to your program, and that's what I'm here to call and talk about.
Fantastic. And of course, as you mentioned, it's not a traditional art opening. This is very much a living celebration. Family, friends, public, all invited. Is Carol Ann there? Does she want to have a chat?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good morning, Miss Coffey.
Good morning. Hi.
Well, how did this ever come to your mind, and how do you feel about it taking place today?
Well,
or 14th.
I have a lot of paintings that I've done over the years that I had stashed in my basement and country house, and my daughter's good friend came for a visit one day and saw some of my art, and she really seemed to be taken up with it. So she insisted that I must have a show.
And this all sort of genesis of it back when you were with the geography department at MUN, is that right?
That's correct. I was on a committee to choose an artist in residence, and it kind of took off from that. The artists would take us out in the field to do sketching and, and how to observe nature. And my interest really took off from that.
Yeah, and just to be clear, what do you mostly paint?
I mostly paint florals and some landscapes.
And it's like watercolor or what, on canvas or? Watercolor,
oils, and acrylic.
So just let me ask you this. I'm always curious because you also talk about it being just this kind of creative practice being like a constant companion, offering meaning, grounding, joy throughout your life. When did you first pick up a paintbrush? Were you just a doodler as a kid like a lot of us, and then all of a sudden somebody went, wow, this stuff's really good? Or did it just evolve over time?
I never thought I was very good. I just felt compelled to do it. And when I was in Toronto General Hospital recovering from the double lung transplant, to keep my mind off my troubles, I would do a watercolor every day.
Well, if only everybody sort of had that kind of escape or that kind of therapy or therapeuticness when they're going through something like that. I mean, geez, double lung transplant. How are you feeling now? I mean, this happened, the transplant was, 2-3 years ago?
Yes, in 2023. And, no, I'm doing pretty good. I had to give up my home and move into Tiffany Village. So I need, constant care here. But I have my own apartment, and I'm happy to be able to carry on with my art as something to keep me going.
It's invaluable. I mean, if I didn't have some side gigs that I have, whether it's writing or whether it's music, I always call it my therapy, We need that escape from the regular, yes. And especially when you're going through something that you went through. It must have been incredibly just like calming to your own mind to say, I can sit down and do this, and I can block everything out because I put my creativity just takes over all the worries. Does it not?
Yes, it does. And after my surgery, I had to learn to write again. Even to hold a pen was very difficult. Wow. I had to learn to eat again. I had to learn to walk again. It was quite something to go through the process for several months.
Having to learn all that again. So how was it? Was it hard for the painting to come back, or was it just the most natural part of all of your recovery?
It was pretty natural, yeah. But holding a paintbrush was difficult.
Yeah, it's amazing. These things that are ingrained in our brains, the sort of osmosis of whatever talent it is that we've developed over the years, whether it's playing the piano, whether it's speaking foreign languages or whatever, it's amazing how it can just get ingrained in your brain. And for people who go through strokes and all that sort of thing, they may not be able to walk again, yeah. May not be able to speak again. But if you sit them right. down at a piano or put them in front of an easel with a paintbrush, yes. Such as my father went through a stroke before he passed a few years ago, and it was difficult in the immediate aftermath. There were all these issues that come with the complications of a stroke, but boy, we'd have the family over and you sit him at the piano and away it went. Incredible to watch that, how the brain can do that. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I wish you nothing but the best. This is called, let me see, Where Love Blooms. Is that right?
Yes, Where Love Blooms. Yes.
And at Tiffany Village on February the 14th and the 15th. So 2 days, hey?
Yes.
For this exhibit, if you will. Can I call it an exhibit?
Yes, you can.
Awesome. And your 4 children are going to share in all of this, I think. Jay, Joe, Jeff, and Juliana, and their families.
Yes, that's right.
That is absolutely beautiful.
They've all been a part of it.
That's beautiful. Well, look, I wish you nothing but the best with this. It's on the 14th and 15th, and on Valentine's Day, of course, at the Tiffany Village from 2 to 5 p.m. I think it is both days. Is that right?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Correct.
Look, thanks. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, if I could just jump in.
Yes.
Yeah, and all the artwork is for sale. There's over 150 pieces, I think, and everything from greeting cards to acrylics to oils to children's books. It's really quite a collection of her life's work in the art community, and we just want everyone to come out and witness her legacy and to celebrate with her. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah, and I'd say first come, first serve. You better get there soon, because I'd say the residents will have all of that snapped up before all the commoners show up at your door, right?
Yeah. There's people coming in. She actually even has a cousin. They have a huge family, and her life partner was a teacher in the community. She has sons in the medical community. Her daughter's a biologist. Her other son is working in the industry with 3 kids. Like, it's an amazing collection of not only just her legacy as a woman and working at the Memorial University, but as a woman with this incredible gift that is continuing to be expressed, like, daily.
The gift that just keeps on giving, and I got a feeling it's going to keep on giving. This will do nothing but buoy your spirits and keep her going for years to come, let's hope. Caroline, my mother and my parents taught me never to ask an age, but you're at Tiffany. Do you mind?
No. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Do you mind if I ask how old you are? I know I'm going to get roasted for this.
Oh, I'm 72.
There you go. Oh, my God.
And a musician, too. She was an incredible musician with multiple instruments. That she can't do right now, but she can still paint, man, let me tell you. Well, yeah, she's 72.
Well, it'll all be there on full display on 14th and 15th over at Tiffany Village, 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Get there soon. Bring your credit cards and debit. Got any debit? Or is it all cash and carry?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and good luck with this. Thanks for this call. I kind of needed it. Thanks. It's a great story. Good luck on the weekend. All right, folks. Dave, let's see. You're right on the 10:30. Let's go right off to that break. Back with Sandy on colostomy supplies, and Donna's still going to respond to that Fred Hutton call right after the break. And welcome back to the show. Just a quick sports update. Canada up 1-0 over Finland. I think they're just going into the first period break. Keep you posted on that. Of course, as I said, you can have her on mute in the background while you're listening to Open Line, like everybody is doing this morning. Let's go to line 3. And Sandy, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Before I begin, I just want to say that I'm already reached out to an MHA's office, and they're already starting the process of working on this. But I've heard a lot of information about the diabetics, and I'm not going to compare people being sick or their illnesses or anything like that. But those living with diabetes are getting more and more funding for their and accessibility to the materials that they need to monitor their blood sugars to survive, basically. One area that has not really come to light, and it came to light more for me because someone very close to me had a colostomy done in early October. Mm-hmm. And colostomy supplies are very, very, very expensive. And this is their lifeline to survive and avoid getting any infections. And the astronomical numbers that are out there for people that don't qualify, and don't get me wrong, there are services out there, but there's people that just don't qualify for it for some reason or other. And this is a senior citizen, and they don't always qualify for the things that they once did.
Yeah, so the province does have an ostomy subsidy program. I think it covers about 75% of costs for, as they put, quote-unquote, eligible residents. And that's specifically under, I think, a 65-plus plan, like a senior's plan. And if you qualify for a drug card, I think this is...
Here's your big thing.
Yeah, that's the line you're waiting for.
Don't qualify.
Yep.
They don't qualify. They have no accessibility to any of these great programs that are out there for people that do. but there's a lot of people that do not qualify. And I've learned more about this in the last few months from October till now, that it's scary. The number of people that are living with colostomies that you would never know, the number of people that are trying to survive and put money out there. And for some people, it basically, and fortunately, I'm not, or my family's not in that situation, but there's people who have to decide, do I buy my supplies, or do I eat, or do I pay my light bill? You're talking thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, like a colostomy, first of all, it's just a procedure. It's an opening in the stomach, for lack of a better word, to a portion of the large intestine or the colon to try to divert the waste, around it. But there's, costs with that. How much, if you don't mind me, like I'm really not in this world right now, in the market, if you will, but what would, say, a one-piece or a two-piece drainable pouch go for these days, for example?
Well, if you're talking about the whole kit that you need, most people right now are averaging about $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Oh my God! I mean,
for supplies, and that's and people are trying to make these supplies last. And if anybody is familiar with a colostomy, exactly. And if anybody's familiar with a colostomy, that is not what you want to be doing. Like, you want to feel clean, you want to feel healthy, this is your lifeline. And it's great to say, well, some people can get this reversed, it's only short term. For a good many of these people, if they do get it reversed, sometimes they have to go back and get it done again. In our situation, my family member cannot have it reversed. It's a life process. So I thought I'd call this morning just to start the conversation piece. And like I said, an MHA in the area is working on it and was quite open to hearing what we had to say. And I think it's important for people to know that, like other diseases, there should be coverage for everybody, like not just certain individuals.
Not only that, if you are covered, in a lot of cases, you gotta buy it up front and then submit receipts afterwards. Even if you do qualify for the card in some cases. So. Look, you said it right there. Some topics are just not commonly covered here on Open Line, but we should be covering them all. And this kind of call opens that conversation. You know it. Like you said, this is an out of sight, out of mind thing. Obviously, colostomy, it's not, something that you would notice if somebody was walking through the mall or anything. So, it can be a very silent struggle for many. And when it comes to, $1,500 a month, if you don't have some kind of plan on that, as you said, you're either going to go hungry or freezing.
And I've priced it out at different spots, like most people do. You shop around.
Sure.
And I think one of the lowest ones that I've came across was probably about, you're looking at still anywhere from $850 to $900 for supplies at your lowest line. Is
it any cheaper online, or from buying local vendors, or?
It's like everything. You had to be careful shopping online because you want to make sure that you're getting proper adhesive products. I mean, it's like anything. You have to shop, and it's a game of, and I won't call it a game, but it's a process of you get what you pay for in some circumstances. And like I said, some things work better for others than not. And it's something that should be out there. And like I said, the MHA in the area has been open to listening to the information. Someone very close to one of his workers had a colostomy done as well. So we're all on the same page. It's just something that should be universal, as they say, for everybody, instead of just pockets of people that can avail of funding. And even people, if we look at it as a whole, people who are living under those lines of numbers that they put out there, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody.
And if I know you haven't mentioned the name of the MHA that's helping you. There's no harm in that. I mean, they're doing work for you. I mean, their behalf, and even the fact that one of their staffers has gone through this gives them a personal eye and insight into what you're going through, or whoever in your circle is going through. So you're more than welcome to name that MHA, and I welcome. Who is it? If you don't mind me asking, I'm going to ask you straight out. It's okay.
All I'll say is in the central area.
Okay.
And
well, if Mr. Din wants to give us a call, if Jim wants,
not Din.
okay, he is the center, MHA center. But whoever it is, if they want to call in, certainly as well. And I appreciate it. I'm not going to put you on the spot to name them if you don't want to, maybe for whatever reason. But certainly, when that's what their job is. So I don't think there's any shame in them coming out and say, yeah, they're doing work for you. But I'd be curious to see where they're getting with it. So if they want to give us a shout and let us know the latest, and if they are getting anywhere with it, and then we'll call out the authorities and the powers that be to see what's on the go.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And Sandy, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. And as we say to everybody, it's great, as you said, you've put this on the radar for so many people, and I'll guarantee you there's people out there obviously nodding and agreeing with the problem here. By all means, call us back, follow up. If I'm not here or somebody else is sitting in the chair, by all means, just let us know how it's going and where you're getting with it, okay?
Absolutely. I'll be happy to. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye.
Hey, bye. Let's see. Close to the break, I just wanted to mention, off the top, and we got a couple of callers there, and we'll get to them. I mentioned off the top the tragedy in Tumbler Ridge, and that there, were suggestions, connections that there were connections to Newfoundland and Labrador, and now the town of Lawn has confirmed that, for all intents and purposes, that the mother of the shooter, Jennifer Strang, the mother of the shooter, Jesse, was from Lawn on the Burin Peninsula, and still has family in the area. And the town itself posted to Facebook about their hearts are heavy as we reflect on the tragic events that have taken place there. On behalf of our community, we extend our deepest condolences to family, friends affected. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, the loved ones, and the first responders who answered with the courage and compassion during such a difficult time. And then they go on to say, although miles may separate us, our communities share this special bond. We understand how deeply an event like this impacts not only those directly involved in Tumbler Ridge, but also those in our own town of Lawn. And we want to acknowledge and offer our support to the family here, of course, in our own community who are grieving. One can only imagine this loss. And please know that your neighbors and stand beside you with care, compassion, strength. We are here for you. And the last note on that, in the moments like these, communities come together. We stand in solidarity with Tumbler Ridge and hold everyone impacted in our thoughts and prayers. And that's from the Mayor, Shane Kearney, and Council of Lawn. So there you go. There is that connection to our province. How many times has that happened, that there is one way or another a connection to Newfoundland and Labrador? We're everywhere. Let's take that break, Dave. We'll come right back with Gerard. We're going to talk a little Olympics. I'm looking forward to it right after the break. Welcome back to the show. And then there were six medals, that is. Canada now up with 3 gold, 3 silver after Michael Kingsbury. I won't say expected. Certainly we had good hopes, high hopes for him. High hopes being the operative word there in men's moguls. Getting a bit of big air, although it's not the big air event. But anyway, this morning, our time, the afternoon time over in Italy, he has scored a silver in men's moguls. So that gets us up to 6, 3 silver, 3 bronze. Quick check-in on the women. Looks like it's still 1-0 Canada over Finland. Let's go right to Gerard with the excellent, perfect segue. You're on the air.
Yes, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, sir. You calling about the Olympics? God love you. Let's talk let's talk about that for a little while, shall we?
Yes, I called about. I was watching NTV last night, and they had the reporter on, Garth Barry, a wonderful reporter, but he was saying there were no Newfoundland flag there. You couldn't see, and also NTV. He never had a good logo on of NTV and the Newfoundland flag on his jacket or the Canadian, because he said they all met at this bar and all the Canadians are there and people from all over the world, and they love wrapping the flag of Canada around them. And Newfoundland, like where it held the games this summer, St. John's, Newfoundland should have a representative there with representing St. John's, Newfoundland, because the people love to come here. And also the province of Newfoundland and Labrador should have had a representative there. I don't know if they have anybody there. you know.
Well, I mean, look, as far as the actual games go, and this isn't like a trade mission or anything where everybody is represented. I mean, you qualify, you go into the queue, you have to attain a certain level to be part of the Olympics. Are you talking about as an athlete or just like an ambassador someone?
No, just an ambassador there for the province, this wonderful province of Newfoundland and Labrador. But Garth Barry was there representing CTV and in TV, but he never had nothing on saying that he was from the province of Newfoundland and Labrador and representing in TV, because it's a wonderful station, you know.
Sure, it's one of the flagships for the province of all our media. But, I mean, I'll let them speak for themselves. I mean, it's not the job of the reporter for objective reporters to wave the flag of the province. I mean, you can mention it into your story if it's relevant. We do know that there is a Newfoundlander. The closest, I guess, to competition would be Miriam Lewis. She's, I think, from Bonavista or the Kings Cove. I don't want to get the town wrong, but I know she's there as a sports physiotherapist with the Team Canada's speed skating team. I mean, of all things, you want to be a physiotherapist. To try getting those athletes in top shape when they got to. I mean, you don't need. All you need to do is watch that sport. And 7 hockey players have kind of past ties to the NL professional teams here in the province, whether it was the Growlers or the Ice Caps or on and on and on it goes. And there is kind of a connection. I think the grandparents of one of the women on the women's hockey team, Phil, you're originally from this province. The grandparents, I think that's a connection. But I mean, as I said, it's not something where every province sends a representative anyway. I mean, I know what you're saying. It'd be nice to see the flag flying there, but normally you'll always catch a Newfoundlander who's got a flag at these international events. Just watch when the camera pans. Even if we don't have an athlete on the ice,
I hope we do.
You'll see one hanging over. I remember my father and I went to a Blue Jays playoff game back in 1992, and I searched. I couldn't believe I forgot it, but when we got to Toronto for the game, I forgot the Newfoundland flag to bring with me, and boy, did we search up and high and low for a flag to take to that game at the old Sky Dome to hang over the rafters and make sure we were seen. They show up in all the international games. But again, you can't. Again, you have to qualify for this sort of thing, and I hear what you're saying, but I mean, look at the media are doing the best they can with it, and we're not over there necessarily to wave our own flag. We're there to wave the flag of Canada, really.
But at that sports bar where everybody is there, it'd be nice to have a flag of Newfoundland and Labrador there,
Sure, and you got to have somebody from there who's, I mean, if you're over there reporting, it's not necessarily what you're doing. As a reporter, you're there to cover it.
I know that.
And God love you if you run into a bunch of Newfoundlanders who happen to be there, which always happens.
Well, then I think we should look at something like that, and when these big events are coming up to represent St. John's, Newfoundland, and to just show their presence, and Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree. It's always nice to see our flag. I tell you, beautiful. It's always a beauty when we catch a glimpse of the Newfoundland flag in some international venue or at some international event. So I'm all with you. If you're going and you're around the world, always have your Newfoundland flag with you because you never know where's the camera.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Gerard, you're more than welcome. Any comment on the sports to date or the actual sports? And
I watched the curling 3 o'clock this morning, and they won 7-6. It was a really, really good game.
That was the women's, beautiful. Right? Rachel Holman.
No, the men's.
Oh, you watched the replay.
The
okay.
men's.
Yeah, because I watched that last night.
Right.
Yeah, so
I see it come on 3 o'clock this morning. I didn't know that was a replay or not, but they won it anyhow. It was a really exciting game.
Yeah, I mentioned that off the top. That was against Germany, and it was back and forth the whole game. And some of the shots, you always look at it and you go, how are they making some of these shots? You are quickly reminded that the rest of the world has caught up to Canada in the world of curling and other sports and hockey.
Oh, yes. It'll be a good game tonight.
Yep, absolutely. They're up against it. I mean, there was a time we could go over there with the curling, and, I mean, anything less than gold wouldn't be acceptable. I mean, just being on the podium was almost, really? But now, and you ask to a man, any of the curlers, like whether it's Mr. Guju or anyone else who's been over, the rest of the world is there. They're watching. They even have their own different techniques that we're picking up now. And the ice is a battle for everybody. But, Gerard, I really appreciate the call. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Oh,
thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for the call.
Okay, good now.
All right. And let's see. Dave, did you want to... I just want to go back to... we had a call there. Somebody wanted to respond to Fred Hutton talking about the appointment in Premier Tony Wakeham's in the Premier's office of this doctor who's been appointed as a special advisor, almost $300,000 a year. And the fact that... and, of course, this reporting, I should say, comes from originally broken by our colleagues, media colleagues over at All Newfoundland and Labrador. That's where this story has come from. Credit where credit is due. And like $300,000, he's still contractually bound to work, I think, 30 hours a week in the Premier's office, but also can bill the medical care plan for any clinical and work and time outside his political duties. Just the whole look of this. You know, I would relish a call from the provincial government to just rationalize this one for us at a time when, you know, we've been told it's crunch time and we've got to find money wherever we can, whether that's closing Harlow, the Mon extension over in England, or whether it's all of the work that we have to do that was announced this week, you know, the work that's going to go back into Memorial University and building that place up. I took a walk through the tunnels recently at Mon, and honestly, it was like walking back through time. Nothing had changed in that particular area underneath the old Thompson Student Center. Those tunnels, some of the same lockers right there, and some of the same leaks, and some of the same buckets over the last 10 years. So the work needs to be done. They're at it. I don't mean to dredge all that up again, but it's real and it's happening. But again, if you wanted to comment on that, and I know I had Fred on earlier, but I know opposition, let's see, Sarah Studley, of course, the finance critic and Liberal MHA. She's certainly expressing outrage and shock at this appointment of Dr. Des Whalen to the Premier's office as a special advisor. Again, apparently the highest paid now in the office. And he billed almost $300,000 in 24-25. And, of course, you're probably asking, okay, so what's the connection? Well, he has, of course, past links to the PC party, served as a director of the party's provincial executive, and active during his time as a Mon student, apparently. So, again, connections to the party. I said to Fred earlier, Fred Hutton, who, of course, was a Liberal minister in the former Liberal government, that, you know, you can bitch and complain about what each government does when they come in about appointments. But he makes the point that this one's just a little bit different, considering the salary will be paid by MCP. Like, we don't have enough people relying on that. So, again, I would welcome the rationale from anyone within government. Sometimes it's just too quiet these days from government. It can be a little harder. As a reporter, I'm just stating a fact here, it can be a little harder to get a response. Much longer than in past years, not just any particular government or any particular color or stripe, but, you know, as they still get their feet wet, I guess, and try to put their stamp on this government. I won't go much further than that. We do know that, you know, it was kind of a surprise to everybody that they took government. So there's still a big learning curve and a lot of stuff on the plate, especially as they near budget crunch time in the next couple of months. So, you know, we welcome any kind of explanation and defense of this appointment, if it is, in fact, defensible. All right, right at the top of the news, Brian Medora. We'll be right back after the news and the break. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Thank you very much, Brian Medora. I'm gonna go to Brian now in a few minutes. I got a caller here I'm going to take first, but in a few minutes we're going to go to Brian for a little bit of a more in-depth update on what's going on with the Olympics. Yeah, let's talk that because it's big time, and you know what? Change from on some of the heavy topics we're discussing here this morning isn't all that bad, and it's not like it's not relevant. But that said, and yeah, so I'm going to bring Brian Medora in a minute. We're going to talk a little sports and Olympics. So he's standing by. But first, let's go to line number one. And Mary, you are on the air.
Oh, hi, Brian. How are you?
It's a loaded question, but I'm doing okay. How about yourself, Mary?
Yeah. Brian, what I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to make this as brief as I can, I want to talk about mental health, and especially that man I was listening to the other night, the handcuffed, when she went out to get a drink of water. I'm wondering what he did for her to bring back 3 policemen. If they thought that he had something that would injure him or anything, well, why didn't they body check him before they did this? Sure, that'd make anybody worse. And then the other man that wasn't allowed in the room with his son because he was looking after him because he was 25. So what? If you go, my husband was sick and I went in the room with him. I mean, when you need help and your caregiver wants to go with you, what is the problem? I mean, this whole system, today, I don't think anybody got any common sense today. A lot of things, Brian, you need common sense. And I thought that was a shame what they did to these people. And then the other fellow that got off of his medication and he went in then and injured people. Then they were all over it, but they wouldn't give the mother and the daughter at the time of the day. But yet when he did something, they were all over it after the fact. What is wrong, Brian?
That's the $1 million question, Mary. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I get really upset over stuff like this, Brian, because I worked in homes and I saw a lot of things. But the other night, I actually cried. I listened open line in the night. But, I thought this was ridiculous to slap the handcuffs on him. Why didn't they body check him if they were afraid of him? Anyway, Brian, look, I'm too upset anyway to talk, but I wanted to get that through.
No, Mary, look, I can't tell you how much I appreciate and need the call. We need these calls. Need is the word here. It's not overemphasizing it. Unfortunately, we don't get every single, I can have a caller tell me what happened, but as I've always said, 5 of us could see the same T-bone accident and have different versions of it. I'm not saying anything, there's just a lot more to an individual situation like that. You're right. Yes. It's fair questions to ask, to pat down whether or not there's any immediate threat. But, we're still navigating and learning as we go with mental health and wellness checks and all of these issues that are coming up. And there is so much of it. As I said, it's a global mental health crisis. The lines are blurred as to when it requires intervention and when it doesn't. When you may be able to just deal with it, there's such a thing as normal stress, normal anxiety. We've come to label these terms as with more negative connotation than they should have, because again, the whole stigma that comes with this, it's still so much of it is hidden. People don't want to talk about it. People want to discuss it. You're really hoping it doesn't happen to you and your loved ones, but it can just easily as it could happen to anybody else any day. It's just an important topic. As hard as it is, we have to talk about it.
Well, Brian, too, a few years ago, somebody went out. I don't know if it was New Year's Day or Christmas Day. I forgot about it. And the man, they shot him. He had mental issues too. And I don't know if anybody ever knew the rights of that. But these people got family too, Brian. Mm-hmm. And it hurts the family too. I know firsthand because I worked in homes and saw an awful lot of things. But this the other night, I couldn't sleep when I heard it.
I can appreciate it. There's a lot of people having trouble sleeping with, because it's not that far removed. People may say physically, geographically, it is far removed, only because it's on the other side of the country. But as we know, right now, there's another connection to Newfoundland here with this. So not that it tars anything. It just speaks to the fact that, no one is immune. We should all be prepared that this is there. This is right there. And you just said, you mentioned, Mary, that, they have families. So do the people who are trying to deal with this, whether you're a police officer.
That's what I'm saying, Brian. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like the woman and daughter tried to get help for the son. I got a son too, and I can picture it was my son, what I would go through.
Yeah. What you wouldn't do.
I mean, I don't think I could really live it down, Brian, the way I am. But it's like my son says, Mom, you want to take the whole world on. But it's not that, Brian. I'm just a caring person. Always was, even as a child. So you're not going to change me now.
No, and there's so much to care about, Mary. That's the thing. A caring person, we're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know. Well, Brian, look, you're doing a lovely job, I must say. You're really, really doing a really lovely job, and I enjoy listening to you in the night time.
Well, sometimes I forget that it's replayed at night. And the other day, I was driving home after picking up my daughter and flicked around to catch the news at the top of the hour. And here I was talking to myself. I was just like, I've said it before, Mary. It's a hard business to be in when you hate the sound of your own voice.
Oh, I know. Well, Brian, look, I really thank you for listening to me, and I might call you again. I used to call Paddy the odd time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call, Mary, and keep caring.
Yeah. Yes, all right.
Okay, thanks so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, Dave, let's take an early break, and then we're going to bring in Mr. Medore, Brian Medore, a sports extraordinaire. And we're going to have a lighthearted gab about what's going over in Alitalia right after the break. And welcome back to the program. Getting close to the home stretch today. If you want to get a chance to get on and in the queue, got a little bit of an opening there now, Dave tells me. So give us a shout and anything that's on your mind. And one thing that's on my mind, because I can't look at it while I'm on the show, but I'm a sports fanatic. There's a lot going on with the Canadian Olympic team today. It's expected to be a big day. We've already got one more this morning from Michael Kingsbury, silver medal. But to bring us up to date, I'm going to welcome my sports aficionado colleague here, Brian Medore, to the show. Brian, how's it going?
Hey, not too bad.
So as I said, there's no actual screen in here for the game or anything like that, the Canada women's hockey game right now. Is it still 1-0? That's my first question.
Last I looked, it was 1-0 indeed. Very tight game. Finland, as we knew, is not quite the Finland of old in women's hockey. They have improved their game immensely and definitely given Canada a game for it this time around, these Olympics here. And the field is much tougher. It was kind of automatic, I think, before. Mm-hmm. It'd be Canada and the United States in the final, probably go to overtime, shootout, whatever. Yeah. But now it's some other teams are providing some interesting competition.
Yeah, and needless to say, I mean, the Finns, you never know how they were going to come out of the gate.
No.
They played their first game on the weekend after the neurovirus hit the team last week, and that's why Canada's playing them now, of course, because we have to make up for the game that was cancelled in the first place due to that, and so that nobody else would catch it, of course. But, after coming off that, you think there might be some fatigue, physical fatigue, that sort of thing at this high level, given that almost the entire team was stricken by the neurovirus, but they don't look any worse for wear.
Nope, but Canada certainly did the other day against the United States. My little guy and I were watching it. It was just before his playoff hockey game at the DF Barnes. And anyway, I think about halfway through the first period, late in the first period, I said, Brady, that's enough. We're finished. We're out of here.
Yeah, it's listen. I almost feel unpatriotic sometimes, but you know how frustrated we can get when we see it going south. It's like you just can't watch, and it was hard to watch. I stuck with it, but I mean, it was total dominance by the Americans. You mentioned how Canada and the Americans, of course, we all know, barring some kind of catastrophic implosion or explosion or turn of events, it's going to be Canada-U.S. in the final usually. But as you said, everybody's sort of leveled out. The Swedes and the Finns are right there, but it'll be interesting to see if Canada can recover for that. Like, if that was just one really tough game, or if we're not just, if the distance between us and the Americans is gapping a little more, because we know the past, I think, the Americans have beaten the Canadian women 8 of the last 9 games over the last, I think, 4 months, and that's including a sweep in the rivalry series. So they're in tough even for a goal this time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and they do play each other an awful lot, so they do know each other well. I just want to pass this on too. Just came in. Canada's Elliot Grondin, a silver medal men's snowboard cross. So we are now at number 6, 24-year-old.
6 or 7 now?
6, I think that is now.
Just quickly check. I think Kingsbury.
Kingsbury was number 5, I believe, wasn't he?
Let me see.
And Elliot Grondin, silver medal in the men's snowboard, should be number 6, I think.
Okay, we'll get that cleared up. It's if it just happened, it may take a second for them to boot it. 6 or 7? Wow, what the hell?
Yeah, we're
we
up
got
there.
26 was our last Olympics, so we got a little ways to go. But with the speed skating and short track and slope style and all that kind of fun stuff, we should be well our way. Yeah, and curling, okay, and of course, men's hockey in about 40 minutes from now, I think.
Yep, 45 minutes, just after 12.
Yeah, right, 10 after 12.
Yep.
Round puck drop.
And this is not, normally when you start the tournaments, you get a couple of, freebies to start. Czechia is no freebie.
And as we saw yesterday, when they used to be Czechoslovakia, the Slovaks yesterday knocked off oh my God, just make sure the Swedes? No.
No, it was Italy. It was playing Sweden, I think.
Yes, that's right.
And it was
Sweden
tight.
Escaped with the skin of their teeth.
But it was tight.
It was tight. All right, Brian, thanks for that. And feel free to pop in, jump in at any point if there's anything else you want to let us know and goings on in the world, not alone just the Olympics, but anything else. You're right there. The newsroom is humming along on this, looking up behind you on the window. What a miss.
And some of those skiing events are just absolutely... I don't understand how the human body can actually do some of those up over I forget what they called it, might have been freestyle. And the backflips and the holy cow, I just don't know how they can do it.
The one that I cringe at is the moguls, only because of the beaten that the knees take. Like, how do you...
It's got to be the toughest on your knees. I mean, that's 10 times as hard as running on asphalt or concrete.
It's like any doctor would say, no, that's not good for you.
Yeah.
But the knees just up into the chin every single time. I don't know how to do it. And for anyone with a little bit of knee pain, when you're climbing the stairs in your house to watch that, you got to cringe.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Right you are.
All right, we'll be talking to you. Brian Medore there in the newsroom and sports room, shall we say. Dave, am I taking a call? I can't recall where I am. Yes, let's go to line number 1. And Lisa, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning. Fine. How are you?
I've been better, actually.
Oh.
So I had something quite upsetting happen, and so I wanted to talk about that and bring attention to an issue for your listeners. And so just a little bit about me, just so people know. I'm a former criminal lawyer. I'm a human rights activist, a community advocate, but most importantly, my most important role is that I'm a daughter. And so my mother, lovely lady, we're from Marystown. She has, so she's, sorry, Mom, I'm going to tell you your age, but she's 71 now. But when I was in high school, she was in her 50s. She woke up one day and she had a very severe airborne anaphylactic allergy to latex and banana kiwi. So it's often referred, quite serious. And so she was actually, how she found out, she was cutting up fruit for me, and Mr. Kiwi made her have a severe allergic reaction. And so what happens when you're anaphylactic is that your throat closes off, you start turning blue. The EpiPen is a great tool, it's a great resource, but it only opens the airways for about 10 minutes, and so very short term. And also she has high blood pressure, so can induce a stroke. So a lot of, medical awareness, I feel like needs to be known about this because, there was one night we're making tacos, and Clubhouse has a spice that we haven't identified, but I'm here in Kitty Vitty. I love Dominion, so I buy Clubhouse. And I had to call 911 because she had an allergy reaction. But so the hospitals have done really well to sort of reintroduce other elements and replace latex, like in latex gloves and whatnot. But in the hospital, Tim Hortons is still serving banana muffins. And so it's the latex banana kiwi syndrome or latex fruit syndrome. And so I'm like, great. In one hand, everyone's taking latex quite seriously, but the fruit part, not so much. So today, this is all context setting for what happened to me today. My brother just had a baby a week ago in Vancouver, and so we were trying to board a WestJet flight today, and about a month ago, I called WestJet accessibility line. That's where you call if you need accessibility or accommodation for special needs. And, this is considered a very special need. And so they said they noted it and to talk to the agent so that they can make a pre-boarding flight. So that means, like, if any passenger has bananas, strawberry kiwi drinks, smoothies, whatnot, that they sort of pitch them and we act as a community before we get on this flight and make sure she's safe. Because with Airborne, she double masks, she has an EpiPen. But with a 6-hour flight to Calgary, it could be fatal.
And taking those precautions, absolutely.
Right, exactly. And so I did call, and, and this is another lesson for myself today, is that, always listen to your gut. I didn't feel that WestJet really took my request for accommodation seriously, so I get to the airport today super early to just make sure that we're all on the same page, and we just want to make sure that this is going to be a safe flight for my mom. So when I talked to the agent, they sort of said they were sort of flippant, but at one point they did, but the passengers were lovely. We acted as a community. This is why I love Newfoundland. We came together. We're very serious about protecting my mom. But the airline came to me and said, oh, this is what we're serving in first class. And it was a fruit tray with huge slices of kiwi, which is quite fatal for my mom. And so I said, no, like, can you serve something else? I called about a month ago to accommodate her this flight, and I called yesterday just to confirm that that was heard. And they said it was too much trouble to change the menu at that time. And so they said, well, we can move you to the back of the plane. And I sort of, let her know, the agent know that, well, that's not going to work because how airborne allergies work, it doesn't really matter where my mom is in the airplane. It's basically a tin can, and that it could be fatal. And that, you're willingly putting her in danger when you have a duty to accommodate. And so they booted us off the flight, and I think that was best for everyone. But I'm upset, and I guess I don't think in this case WestJet did enough to accommodate. I don't think, and maybe that's just there's not enough awareness around what an airborne allergy is, how serious it is. And, I don't think I'll be flying with WestJet in the future. I had an extremely opposite experience with Porter. And now we've been rebooked to Air Canada, who I hope will take it more seriously.
Yeah, and Lisa, this can go both ways, right? I mean, you will have people, as you said, the great community, in Newfoundland Flight, everybody comes together and they understand the situation, the seriousness of it. And you did all your due diligence. You did everything that anyone could ask of you long ahead of time. Like, I think you said a month ahead.
That's right. Exactly.
It speaks to the seriousness of it for you. Like, it's not a day before or an hour before, or you walked up and said, hey, like, we got a problem. You did your part. And don't kid you. I mean, they are aware. These issues are top of awareness, yet lower in the totem pole for actually doing some action on in some cases. And I'm not going to speak directly to this airline or any airline because, again, your story is completely valid and first. But not knowing all the sides of the story, I'm always really hesitant. I'm the objective reporter. But look, we know that there are others who feel they're absolutely being put out. They have no time for it. They're like every man, woman, and child for yourself. You got a problem? Well, that's your problem. You're not going to disrupt my flight because your mom has a fatal allergy or potential for a fatal allergy. It is a tight rope walk, and as you said, you can have great experiences with, say, as you mentioned, Porter and other airlines, and others, someone can drop the ball, or not. But in this case, it sounds like they did.
Well, and I just want to, I think you make really great points, and this is my lived experience, of course, and maybe people have wonderful experiences with WestJet, but yeah, the ball was dropped, and the consequence could be fatal. And I think, it's great that we have accessibility in this country, and we have a duty to accommodate special needs, but if it's not being implemented, then what's the point, right? And I think that's what's gotten me so frustrated. I love my mom more than anything, and I can't, imagine.
That's what I was saying.
Something like that happening. And so when, like you said, I give ample notice, and there's time to accommodate, right? And so, and I do want to say the people of Newfoundland too, because I had this, we're living in this world right now. I feel like there's, I'm always seeing a lot of, I think hate is too strong a word, but online, and when it comes to what we expect of people. So in my mind, I was sort of nervous about passengers going, well, you can't really tell me what I can bring on a flight. Or, I didn't know which way it went. Sure. And I was, surprisingly pleased with, how everyone rallied together as a community. And that wasn't really much of an issue and then I think maybe the frustration comes from, it wasn't the passengers that I thought that I had to worry about. It was actually the airline that had that duty to accommodate and ample notice to do so.
I'm with you. You'd think it would be the other way. You have so many people, individual concerns and all. The more people you're dealing with, the more potential for pushback. But yet it was the organization, the actual commercial responsibility on the airline that dropped the ball. Lisa, only because of the time on the clock, quick wrap up. Last comment from you?
I just want to say, Oh, yeah, no, I just want to say that I hope this is taken seriously in going forward, because if we can help somebody else in this situation going forward, then, that's what matters.
Sure, absolutely. Look, I have a brother who also has a problem with the same sort of thing, whether it's allergies and everything on airlines. I have firsthand knowledge. Lisa, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Always appreciate a follow-up as well at your convenience. All right. Thanks very much. Let's go, Lisa. Thanks for that call. And again, that there are people in that boat, or should I say, that plane. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. A couple of callers. Finish off the day right after the break.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And welcome back to the home stretch for this, what's today? Thursday. Yes, it is. Let's go right to line number 3 and the MHA, Conservative PCMHA for Lab West. Joe Power, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good morning. Are you calling from the big land, I assume? You never know. You could be traveling.
No, I'm calling from the big land, home. Just attended my next great conference here in Labrador West. And first of all, Brian, we want to send out our condolences to the families of Tumble Ridge. I can't imagine what they're going through. As a former first responder, I wouldn't want to see it happen in any of our communities to go through what they're having to go through after
Joe,
these days. Right?
Yeah, you're a former fire chief up there. Anything close to this you ever experienced in your years?
No, nothing even close to it. And again, I wouldn't want to have to deal with it.
And by all accounts, when we're hearing from people who are in positions like you were in, first responders who also have never experienced anything like this out there, and yet they're going through it. So your words are heeded and welcomed, absolutely.
Right on. I just want to respond to MHA Houghton's comments this morning regarding the Premier's speech. And the Premier did say that we will electrify Labrador and we will develop GAW and our hydro resources. This new transmission line that for Labrador, which this is not new news. This issue was brought forward many years ago, probably back to 15 years ago. So we've had a couple of governments in place since then, and it's nothing to be done to even start that third transmission line, and nothing done by the last government in the last 10 years to get it started either. So it's not new news. It's something we need here in the community, both communities, for minings to expand, and even for our communities when it comes to housing. There's not enough electricity here, and like I said, it's not new news. It's been something that's been a big issue here for many, many years.
That's not new news, of course, but the MOU is, and the MOU, a lot seems to hinge on the plans, the big plans, and I don't need to tell you. You're on the ground. You were at the MINEX conference, and I wasn't even there, and I'm getting the emails and the messages from people talking about this is all fine and good. And no, you're right, the third transmission line, I've been reporting on that for a decade. But time is of the essence. Wouldn't you agree, Joe? I mean, it's time to, or get off the pot.
Yeah. But again, when it comes to the MOU, the Premier rejects suggestions that discussions related to the Church of Falls MOU are over, but they're not. Our government has been clear from the outset that we're taking time, careful, responsible approach to dealing with this. One that protects Newfoundlanders and Labradorians' interests and ensures that any outcomes delivered will benefit the people of this province. And recent discussions have been on the go about infrastructure projects that are entirely separated from the MOU and should not be characterized as signaling the end of negotiations for the MOU, because there's a lot of speculation out there, and it's
well, yeah, fair enough. But the speculation is fed by the government's own actions. I mean, when you scrap the committee that was in place, when you don't have any real timeline, you have no question in mind for the referendum. There's a lot of great plans. There's questions about, the Premier says there's, end of April. So not talking about those timelines, and that the negotiations, we really don't know what's going on with the negotiations, to be honest. I mean, we know the independent committee is continuing to do their work, but we have no update on that. And the last time I asked the Premier if he'd been in touch with the committee members and the independent committee, the independent now, that's been not the one that was scrapped, which also led to the skeptics and the skepticism. But, we don't have a really fulsome update on where everything is, and it's the lack of communication and the lack of knowing where we're going with this. I think that has people, that's feeding all of that kind of, that concern.
It was it's no different than last December when the Liberals come out on December the 12th and announced the agreement with Quebec. There was nothing in the news before that day until they announced an agreement, and so it's not much different. I'll agree with you there, but we're still in negotiations and the independent review is currently underway, and
are we in negotiations? What's the definition of negotiations?
Well, last week the Premier was continued to be engaged with provincial counterparts, including Premier Legault, as part of broader discussions with all the premiers last week, and they're still talking, they're still working on things, and once the review is completed, it will be tabled to the public, and the government will respond accordingly then. Do you know who is negotiating on behalf of our provincial government right now? Because the team that was in place, including Jennifer Williams, two of them are gone, and Jennifer Williams, I believe, is the only one still existent from that former committee. But do you know who's actually the people who are negotiating right now? No, I don't, Brian, I'll be honest with you, but I can probably find out and let you know. Yeah, or anyone in the government, because that would be a help, because we just don't know where they are. I'll be totally honest. Yeah. It's still pretty murky for the importance of that file. It's pretty murky. Yeah. Joe, just before I let you go, one other comment, of course. I'm sure you've heard this story this morning about the hire in the Premier's office for $270,000 for a special advisor, Dr. Des Whalen. And that bill is being paid. His salary going to be paid out of the MCP. Your comment, is that all good to you? You're comfortable with all that? Yeah, Dr. Whalen is a valuable member of the Premier's team. He's young, smart. He's advising the government very well on our biggest issues. His salary was set out by an MOU with the NLMA. It's the same salary that any doctor in the government will receive based on their administration duties. He continues to support his patients, and the previous government also paid salaries similar to this, and they never said anything about it. In fact, former senior advisor for Premier Furry only worked 2 days a week and made almost $200K. So it's a double standard here. When you were talking to MHA Hutton, the last few things you said, every government does this. So
the patronage side of it, absolutely, and that's undeniable. I mean, yeah. The patronage side of it, yes. The patronage side of it, yes. But I'm not sure how many times we've ever seen the salary of an advisor in the Premier's office paid for by MCP.
Yeah. Mr. Hutton also stated when he was talking to you that millions and tens of millions of provincial dollars comes out of this area. And my question will be is, what did the Liberal government in the last 10 years put back in Labrador West? You never say very much.
Yeah,
3 times.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, but there's an old saying about just ignoring the question and going back and take another swipe at the opposition. I mean, look, if we keep that up, we'll never get anywhere. Joe, listen, only because of the time on the clock, I'll give you a last word. Go for it.
Yeah, no, our government is focusing, like we said, on better health care, lower taxes, safe communities, and our speech from the throne is coming up, and our budget is coming up, and this will outline our plan for the future. We're only in office 106 days, so just wait for another 100 days and see what we're going to do.
All right, the MHA for Lab West, Joe Power, PCMHA, thanks. Appreciate the call. Thanks for getting on today. I really appreciate the call.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. All the best up in the big land. That's MHA Joe Power right there. Okay. Right on the break, Dave. A couple of callers left to come. We'll be right back. Almost into the home stretch now for Thursday on the program. Let's go right to line number 1. And singer, songwriter, artist, filmmaker, all around great guy. Ian Foster, you're on the air.
Hi, how's it going this morning?
Hey, man, how are you? Just full disclosure, back in the day, I was standing in the back of the Spur watching you cut your teeth to packed little rooms down at the Spur down in Water Street, and I just wanted to say, man, you're doing great. Thanks for all the music and all your contributions to the arts here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Yeoman's work, sir.
Oh, lovely. That's nice to hear. And wow, that definitely goes all the way back to the Spur days.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told this story when you've been around, but I often say to people, my very beginning of gigging was I went into Music and L's office, and at the time, Janet Cole was the program officer.
My good friend,
and I
Jen.
was like, how does one gig? Like, I had no idea. I was still in university, and this was when Music and L was on Water Street, and she took me outside, and she pointed at the Spur, pointed at the Rose, and said, go to one of those places, and they'll give you a gig. And I looked at both, and I thought, well, the Rose looks slightly more upscale than the Spur, but I ended up playing both,
Yeah, and Ron Hines was doing both at the same time, buddy, so,
Oh, of course. Yes.
Great time. So, look, okay, I didn't mean to sidetrack you. Tell me all about the Soundbone Traditional Arts Foundation and the workshops.
Absolutely. Yes. I've been working with them for a number of years now. They're great folk. They do, school tours and a summertime camp and all of that stuff. They do a lot of great work in the community. And so they asked me to run a songwriting workshop online this winter. And so I was excited about the prospect because I've done workshops myself with Ron Hines back in the day. Mm-hmm. And last winter I actually did one with the legendary Brian Eno. That was an online workshop. And I just found
Loverboy, for everybody who's doing Eno. How do I know that name? Loverboy.
Yeah, well, is the godfather of ambient music, but also producer for like U2's Joshua Tree and like countless other records. Like he's just such a legendary figure, and just such an interesting. You could just sit there and listen to him talk all day. He's just one of those kind of figures. So it was, but I found that course to be, happened in January, the Eno course, and I found it such a wonderful way to sort of while away the winter. Having sort of accountable tasks to work on each week, and also found a little community of other people doing the course, as well as just learning from Eno himself. So I suppose I'm doing my little local version of that here with this workshop. So it's an 8-week course. It takes place on Sundays. And if you go to soundbone.ca, and they have a My Programs page there, and you'll see a songwriting link, you can read more about it and sign up. But essentially, it'll be a small cohort of songwriters exploring the art and craft of songwriting.
Awesome. And just give me that site again, Soundbone.
Yeah, so the sound, it's soundbone.ca, so soundbone.ca,
okay, right.
And you'll see a pull-down menu for programs there, and there's one called the Winter Songwriting Course.
Yeah, you hear so many numbers and website things thrown around. That one's pretty easy. Soundbone.ca, that'll get you at least in the door to find out if this works for you. I got another caller coming in, and look, we could talk forever about music, but tell me the story about how you got banned from Facebook.
I don't think we have enough time, but I'll try to give the short version. And in fact, I will say right away, I'll give you the short version and then give you a link that people can go to for one of my social pages. So basically, back on January 29th, I posted a Instagram story of an old 70s or 80s ad from Grand Falls, Windsor. I think it was just Grand Falls listed on this, the Downtowner Club, looking for go-go dancers, strippers, and accordion players and other musicians. Hilarious. Like, it is a genuinely hilarious ad to read. Very, like, sort of quaint little, wow, piece of history. And 5 minutes later, I was banned from Instagram and then subsequently banned from Meta because I was banned from Instagram because they're connected. And to be honest, it's still being worked on by some folks.
Adjudicated?
Reaching out. Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting because I appealed the decision, and the appeal was turned down, and within the app, it said that no further appeal is possible. So I'm now kind of outside the normal channels with a couple of people looking into it for me, but as of right now, I'm going into whatever this is, week 3 of being an enemy of the state of Meta for a hilarious ad that I would encourage anyone who wants to read this full story. You can go to ianfostermusic.substack.com. That's one of my pages there, as the only social media I'm on right now as a result of this. And anyway, you can. I have a little blog basically that tells the full story and contains the image, which is definitely worth a look for a laugh.
If it wasn't so sad and just it'd be worth laughing about. But honestly, in my world, it would be good riddance. The fact that you went and tried to get the appeal, and I get it. The only reason I really have still a presence on Facebook, and I've managed, I think, to eliminate the Instagram account that through no power of my own was automatically linked. I mean, I don't have an Instagram ID or any kind of sign in. I've never even signed in, but it links it automatically. But it is there for promotion for musicians. It's kind of a crucial aid, whether you like it or not. It reaches so many people, and it's the only reason I would be there. I mean, I'm not necessarily sharing my menus or pictures of suppers, but that's for other people. But look, yeah.
Well, you're totally right, and that is the thing. Like, my music page is still there, but I now no longer have access to it because my admin is my private page, right? So it's like all of these pages, sort of the domino effect. And you're totally right. It is still great in a way for promotion, but apparently this stuff can happen at the drop of a hat. So I've been encouraging people since to sign up for my email mailing list or go to Substack or these other pages that are not so at the whim of the big corporations,
Absolutely. Ian, listen, another time, another longer chat. Appreciate the time for this morning. Thanks so much, and good luck with the workshop. Soundbone.ca. That'll get you started.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Take care. Break legs. All right, that's Ian Foster. Okay, we got a few minutes left, and we're going to try to a real simple little topic like Canada-U.S. trade. We're going to have a quick chat with Daryl. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, Brian. How you doing today?
All right, I got 4 minutes to talk U.S. trade, solve all the world's trade problems.
Okay, right on. No, I was going to talk about the trade thing with the CUSMA thing. Now, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But what we got to look at on our side of it, a lot of American companies can get into Canada versus we go the other way around. Like we go into Canada with our banking system, but yet the U.S. banks cannot come into Canada. That's what we're going to have to look at. Cell phone companies, cable companies, I've researched it. No-go, can't get into Canada. Like CBD products for oil, can't go into Canada. And Colloidal silver. For example, I used to get it one time. They can't send it into Canada now because Health Canada got blocked. If it was made in Canada, then you can get it. Well, you get it for pets. I know that for sure. I use it myself. So the bottom line is, when we go in negotiations, if it's going to be free trade, it's going to be free trade. Like, you look at the Open Skies Agreement that was done back in the mid-'90s. that give like Canadian Airlines total access to the U.S. market, and then it's supposed to be the other way around. That never did flourish. So if we're going to negotiate, we're going to have to open up the borders more and allow like back and forth. Whether they'll get negotiated, that's the $1 million question. But I think we're going to have to start looking at all aspects in that way as well. And something else I'll throw out too. It could be a bit far-fetched. This is 25 years now since 911. Actually, I worked all those flights at the time here in Gander. But, I mean, why don't they give an invite to Donald Trump to the 25 years? They come to Gander, invite, whether that will work or not, I don't know. But my point is try to open his eyes saying, look, this is how well we work together. This is what happened. And maybe he might open his eyes, because I think personally he's listening to the wrong people. So maybe, something to consider that aspect. Invite him to 25 years. You got nothing to lose by not doing it, and you never know what could happen, but everything remains to be seen.
Yeah, Daryl, you're definitely a glasses half full kind of guy, because a couple of things quickly I'll mention. One, the unpredictability. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth next, or what he's going to want to do next. When you look at how Carney had to inform him, I'll bet you he was not aware that we paid for that damn bridge, excuse my French, that we paid for the Gordie Howe Bridge, and that it's jointly owned by us and Michigan. So, so that's just one aspect. And to be honest, during the whole Greenland thing, people were saying, I know a couple of people came out and said, wow, I hope he looks here I hope he doesn't. I really don't. I hope we continue to fly under his radar. If he sees any kind of strategic advantage, God help us, because I'm not sure we want his stamp on us. Just my own thoughts, just the unpredictability. Daryl, I got 20 seconds. I want to thanks for the call. Give us a shout tomorrow or anytime next week. Really appreciate it. Thanks. All right, Dave, 10 seconds. What can I say? Dave Williams, thank you very much, buddy. We got another day to go to get the week done. Off to the men's hockey in about 10 minutes. Drive safely, everyone. Arrive alive. VOCM cares.